Welcome back for another video. This week I am going to bring up a fun idea, and that is, if I had a time machine, what would I go back in time and tell the old me 10 years ago, which I would have been 21 years old. And let's get into it. These are going to be 8 items, and I'm going to save the best for last, so make sure that you watch this video completely all the way through. The first piece of advice I would go back and share with myself is don't be so impatient to find love. I think that I was just so worked up about being in a relationship and being able to kind of have a boyfriend early on, and I started to feel this urgency around like 19, 20 years old. And it took up so much of my time and energy, and I just would get so depressed and anxious about certain boyfriends that it wasn't working out too well, and I was just kind of like convincing myself so early on in my life that I was gonna struggle to find love if I didn't do it now, and that was just a complete waste of time and energy. And I would go back and just tell myself, like, relax, like, you're gonna learn so much. Don't put yourself in that box and box yourself into thinking that this is, not going to go your way if you have to wait. I think that adults would try to tell young people that around me all the time, but honestly, I always believed that it was so urgent. And honestly, like, that got me into some trouble. So I would go back and just encourage myself to take it easy and not just be so latched onto that idea. Number 2 is master one habit at a time instead of focusing on like a handful at once. So it's New Year's resolution time right about now, and most people don't actually keep their New Year's resolutions past February, studies are showing. So that is a big problem to me. I think it's a gigantic problem because whenever you start the new year, you have really good intentions on following through with some health behaviors or something that's going to improve your life. And so if you can't even keep any of your New Year's resolutions and improve your life, to me, that's not like a willpower issue so much as a you took on too much sort of issue. So you got to be smart about it. And I would just tell myself, because I used to do this too, you guys, it's not just, pointing the finger time. I would love to go back and tell myself, hey, just try to focus on 1 or 2 little habits that you really know would change your life so much. Just start doing those really slow. It wasn't until I was 26 that I started to really understand this after reading some great books. And if you want those recommendations, comment below, leave a comment. I'd love to recommend those books that really changed my life. And I just feel like this is something that everybody needs to know. Number 3 is stop doing only high intensity interval training like sprints or, jumping and things like that. That actually damaged my relationship with exercise more than I wanted to admit at the time. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So I think at the time when I was getting into exercise, I was doing a lot of these workouts with the intention of losing weight. I was probably 30 pounds or more overweight. And I, as a consequence of my eating disorder and also some other unhealthy habits that were not promoting my inflammation to decrease, I was just hanging on to a lot of weight for so many years, and I was stressed on the inside. You guys know that story if you've followed along and watched my other videos, but sometimes high intensity workout routines, they can actually add more stress onto you, and they can actually decrease muscle mass if you're not balancing them out properly with eating enough protein and doing strength-focused workouts like lifting actual weight and squatting and doing kind of a slower-paced weight training workout. So when you have more muscle mass, more lean muscle mass on you from doing those workouts, your metabolism actually maintains a healthy rate. And that's something that I was so scared of for so long because I didn't want to be bulky. I didn't want to be bigger than I was. So it really intimidated me to let me lift some weights, because in my mind I'm I don't want to be heavier. But I didn't connect the dots that was going to help my metabolism be healthier, and I would actually have a higher resting metabolic rate when I wasn't even working out. So they always say that HIIT workouts, they increase fat burning over a 24-hour period, but that's certainly different for everyone, and you don't want to negate the benefits of a high intensity workout by getting so much stress. And if you already live a you're burning the candle at both ends sort of lifestyle, like so many Americans do, because they're working full time and they have families and you're trying to do all the things. Sometimes a HIIT workout might not be exactly the best sort of workout to take on. So for me, honestly, I've kind of also, those workouts are hard. So I feel like that actually damaged my relationship with exercise, and I wanted to take on something that I could commit to and stay consistent at. So for me, I can do weight training and I can do walking. I enjoy those. They help bring down stress, and sometimes I'll do a high intensity workout. And it's this mindset and this change has helped me heal even more. So I do advocate for it, and I do tell my clients to make this switch or work on making this switch in their mindset and their routine, because I think that it's so helpful and science does back it up. The fourth item that I would go back and tell myself is stop trying to eat plant-based or vegan so much. About 8 years ago, there was a lot of documentaries coming out about being plant-based, eating only like vegetables and plant foods. And so don't get me wrong, I don't think this is completely wild. I think that many people get spiritual and moral convictions about eating this way, but for me, I don't have that. I have more of like, I wanted to do it to become healthier, and for me, that was not the right strategy. I was missing protein. I was craving protein and animal protein a lot, and I was already struggling with a really bad eating disorder, so removing more food groups was not what I needed to do. I actually needed more protein and fat at the time, and probably less carbohydrates, which when you're plant-based and vegan, a lot of the food that is available to you is pretty high in natural sugars if you're eating like a healthier. And then it also has a lot of carbohydrates in it because grains and legumes and stuff, they are plant-based sources of protein. And so yes, you can get, there's a way to do lots of good sources of protein when you're eating plant-based, but I made the mistake of going to the freezer section of the grocery store and getting a lot of like soy-based, like kind of a lot of those protein sources that are like frozen patties and just things that resemble meat, because I missed meat so much and it fueled my eating disorder. It made me feel crazier, and I lost weight at first, but it just did not help me go in the direction that I needed to go at all, and it gave my gut, I think, more stress because of the sugars and the additives and all the things that aren't really friendly to it. So I would tell myself to not focus on being plant-based. Number 5 follows that up really nicely. I would focus on healing my gut. So I would definitely go back and tell me 10 years ago, like, do this ASAP. I probably would have recovered from my eating disorder 6 years early, and that would have actually saved me so much time and energy. It would have made me feel so much better mentally. Along with my eating disorder, I used to really struggle with anxiety and depression, and I would go to the doctor and they would order me an SSRI to treat that. And there was discussion about adding more medication, but I just wasn't open to it because I was also a nurse and I know a lot about pharmacology, and I took care of a lot of patients in the hospital that were dealing with weight gain from their medications for their mental health conditions. And so I just think that that can be a really problematic side effect for a lot of people that are on medications, because if you already struggle with your mental health, it's going to be a drag if you start putting on pounds because your medication is encouraging your body to do such a thing. And obviously, some people, they really need medications, but I'm just saying it's a frustrating side effect. And so for me, that just wasn't an option because I was already struggling so much to manage just being so heavy already. I couldn't imagine putting on any more weight, so that freaked me out too much. I'm glad I didn't go on any more meds. But what I really should have done was started taking a probiotic early and just really started to focus my efforts around nutrition to be more restoring of the gut. So, number 6 on the list is I would tell myself to stop drinking so much coffee, sugary drinks, alcohol, and diet soda. I used to drink a lot of diet soda and a lot more alcohol, and I drank a lot more coffee. So in school, I was using coffee to stay awake and feel functional. And even as a nurse, I would definitely use coffee to feel awake in the morning, because sometimes you just can't get to bed at a reasonable hour, and I was working night shift. All that stuff didn't help. I think that it's really common to fall into the practice of, drinking these types of things just to kind of like have some sort of like comfort or something that you enjoy, because sometimes life is just so, it can be so much, and you would just want to enjoy, part of your day, and you want something to drink that you enjoy. But ultimately, I felt like all of those things were kind of setting me back, even without me realizing it. So I would definitely tell myself to, take those down. A lot of actually stopped drinking diet soda completely ever since, learning about how aspartame can affect the gut. And also I've stopped drinking so much coffee. It's really hard to even drink more than half a cup of coffee these days, which I think that's great, because I think my body has reacclimated and healed so much that now I feel in touch with how good I feel at baseline. And I don't have to like drink a cup of coffee to get there and feel good again. So I feel very thankful for the restoring that I've been able to do with my body. I think that it's even gotten so much better in the last 2 years since I figured out my food sensitivities. Number 7 is switching out sugar in baking for allulose and monk fruit extract. So these are sweeteners that actually don't impact the blood sugar. I'm somebody who used to struggle with diabetes, pre-diabetes, and I was on a track to becoming diabetic unless I was going to do something about it. So being able to swap my sweeteners was a really helpful way to help bring down my blood sugar levels, and you can really start to see the progress that you make. You can see it in your skin. When you have high blood sugar, your skin does not look as healthy. It doesn't look as radiant or glowing. So there are many things that you can see. When your blood sugar improves, you actually feel more energetic because it's more stable. Your skin looks very healthy. Your eyes start to look brighter. You feel better overall. But you can notice the improvement also in the data when you go to the doctor and they draw your labs. So my hemoglobin A1C, it was 6.1. And so that's pre-diabetic. When I got it checked after I started doing all of the practices that helped me heal, I was able to bring it down to 5. So that's a healthy range. And I like to get mine checked so I understand what's going on inside of my body. And my fasting blood sugar was also like 102, which, sometimes blood sugar, actually, your body releases sugar into the bloodstream in the morning to help you get a kick and wake up. But honestly, you don't want your fasting blood sugar to be that high. You want it to be like less than 90 ideally. So mine did improve. Mine went down into the 80s. So I was very happy to see those improvements were reflecting in my labs as well as how I was feeling in real life. So I knew that I was seeing like 2 forms of data. Okay, I'm feeling good and my labs look a lot better. So I do recommend to do that. I recommend that to all my clients, no matter what they're dealing with. I think that everyone should be doing this because it's not hard to find sugar. It's so easy, and if you're not intentional about it, you're probably eating too much sugar. Number 8, and probably the most impactful one of all, you guys get ready, is stop focusing so much on taking foods out, removing my favorite foods, and rather than doing that, focus on crowding them out with restoring foods and foods that are going to make a big difference. So there's a huge mental issue that most people have when it comes to like improving their food choices and just getting restoring food in more of the time. And it's this concept of off the wagon, on the wagon. And I get this question a lot, and I know that so many people struggle with this that we need to change our mindset around this, like, as a society. Like, we should not be struggling with like binging and going through all these seasons of binge and then okay, now I'm going to be healthy, and then see how long that lasts, and then okay, back to binge. That's not normal. That's not good for us, and we can do better. And the way that you do that is you focus on bringing in foods that restore. So let's say you want to heal your gut, you want better skin, you want to just make a healthy move. Okay, maybe what we should do next is bring in a collagen supplement. Or, maybe if you don't want to do that, okay, what can I bring in a serving of animal protein at this meal? Can I get 30 to 40 grams of protein at this meal? Bringing in a really, really good, high quality, like grass-fed beef to your lunch or your dinner, and getting enough protein at these meals will support your brain neurotransmitters, and it will just support so many different functions in your body that you will start to feel good after making good decisions. And then you'll start to have those associations. It'll correlate for you, and it's not just a matter of willpower, it's also like the chemistry inside of us. Have you ever been told you have a chemical imbalance in your brain? Like if you've been diagnosed with depression or some sort of mental illness, a lot of psychiatrists will say you have a chemical imbalance, and it's true. But how do you correct a chemical imbalance naturally? You have to start with nutrition, you have to reduce the stress, you have to sleep enough. These things are critical, and they're the cornerstone of your recovery and improvement. And they allow you to feel better, and from a feeling better state and just feeling healthier and more clear, you're able to make really good decisions. And, same goes for if you have a foggy brain or if you don't feel good, you're going to make decisions that are like based on, okay, how can I feel comfortable, and a lot of times those are, let's go to the comfort foods, which aren't often like veggies and protein and like really, really wholesome carbs. It's more like, okay, let's get pizza, let's get, takeout from here and all that. I was like that before. I still have to train myself because I love comfort food. I'm just like all of you guys. It's just, have systems in place to like set yourself up for success by focusing on what you can do to bring in a healthy habit. And there's not as much room for making, decisions like, just putting yourself into that environment where it's installed already. And so that actually helped me the most. And I noticed a very, very, very big shift from healing my gut and changing my nutrition because my brain health and my thinking was so clear. And I was just feeling so much better that I wanted to keep it going. So then you can get addicted to feeling good and feeling healthy, and you just want to do that then. And I think that's the best way to stay on the wagon. And obviously I don't like that terminology. I feel like we should have a more balanced term, but it's good to be in a balanced, healthy state because, when you can get there, like, you don't have to be worried about, like, if you go somewhere and there's, like, pizza or, if you have a treat here and there, like, it's not going to make you anxious. It's not going to make you feel crazy. It's just going to be a normal thing for you. And that's great. Like, we should be enjoying food. So those are my things that I would love to go back in time and tell myself. If you liked this video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and just tell me what's something that you wish you could go back and tell yourself 10 years ago, 5 years ago, however long, and, share it in the comments because maybe somebody needs to read that. All right, take care. See you next time.